Well, hello there, motherfuckers. So I was thinking to myself, man, I don't like the direction of Disney's Marvel films. But ever since they've taken over Star Wars, I've been a big fucking fan. And I'm wondering why this is. Well, let's talk about this right now. Why is it so much fucking better? And why are they sucking so bad with Marvel right now? I don't know what it is. Obviously, different teams of people, but ever since Marvel got taken over by Disney, it's just I don't know. It's been really hit and miss, is all I can say. I really did not like Civil War. Did not like Age of Ultron. You know, not that I just didn't like them. I thought that they sucked. I didn't really think they were good at all. I found them to be really boring movies, you know, really bad character-wise, very one-dimensional films. And with the Star Wars films, they're really, you know, going the extra mile. They're really expanding on these universes, and they're really, you know, taking the series for all it's worth. And I mean, you know, you could put that in a number of ways. You know, they're really cashing in on Star Wars, just as they're doing with Marvel. But as far as they feel with the the cash in is way more enjoyable with Star Wars. Now, they're really expanding on the universe. They're introducing new characters. You know, they just did that with Rogue One, which was very impressive. Like, it reminds me of the books. It was the first time that we didn't get to see characters that we were familiar with. You know, we got to see a couple, of course, you know, but it was the first time that, like, the main heroes were different, that they weren't Anakin or Obi-Wan or Luke Skywalker or Han Solo. You know, we didn't get to see any of those characters. Instead, you know, we had Cassian and we had Jin, and these were way different characters. We didn't know how we were going to respond to them, and for me, at least, I responded to them very well. And like I said, it reminded me of all the Star Wars novels, you know. Each book would sometimes introduce new characters in new places, and that's what we got. We got new planets, you know, we got new environments, new structures, you know, new droids and everything. We got introduced to a brand new world, you know, within a world that we're already very familiar with. Now, on the other hand, you've got Disney, which is, you know, they're not really introducing anything new. Especially now, Spider-Man is now getting its third fucking reboot. Its third fucking reboot. And that's probably the other problem I have with it. As you guys know, I am not impressed with the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. I have a lot of problems with it. I don't think that they are starting off the right way. Spider-Man is far too young, for one thing. The amount of CGI being used on his costume is just really inexcusable, since the film in 2002 did a great job of just having a fucking, you know, aesthetically pleasing suit that didn't need any CGI. You had action that was CGI, but you didn't need it to be on the costume as well. Once we start CGIing actors, we start, you know, really getting away from the main idea of what it means to direct the film. Now, you could say that, well, with Rogue One, you had some CGI'd characters, Tarkin and Leia. But that's because they needed to be in order to carry out what they set out to accomplish, you know, in this film. You know, we basically resurrected a character. We made another look incredibly younger than what she is. And that was the reason why you had that amount of CGI. Now, the Marvel movies just go fucking overboard with the CGI. Almost every single scene. I mean, there's barely even any stunt actors in there anymore. Remember stuntmen? Remember the guys that would, you know, be filmed just for, you know, the reason of protecting the real actor? It was supposed to look like the actual star of the movie were performing these amazing feats. But there's no call for that anymore because, well, we're just going to fucking use CGI to get around that. And, you know, this CGI, it costs money and everything, but I don't know. I would think that, you know, movies wouldn't be as expensive because they wouldn't have to pay as many people because, well, we're just generating everything using fucking computer software. And that really just really makes these movies feel artificial. At least with Star Wars, we're getting a fair amount of practical effects. We're getting real sets. I mean, it feels just so right, these movies. Like, they're hitting all the right notes, and for me, it just feels like the Marvel universe is just hitting all the fucking wrong notes. And it's just, these stories are not interesting to me. They're really not. I look at Civil War, you know, we're involving the UN, we're putting sanctions on fucking superheroes. It's supposed to feel like real life, and it might, but the problem is that these movies are supposed to be an escape. And this is the exact same thing I said about the way how the Dark Knight trilogy went off the rails with the last entry from Christopher Nolan. You know, we kept arguing, oh, this is supposed to be a more realistic Batman, and then we kind of forgot that, well, these things can't really be that realistic. They're really supposed to be an escape. And that was the problem I had with that Christopher Nolan philosophy of how he was doing the Batman movies. Now, luckily, the first two films were amazing, but the third one fell very short. So, the thing is, that argument with the Marvel films, when you're throwing that much CGI and so much other craziness in there, to say that you're going to try to make this film more real world and more authentic and more realistic, that's just completely fucking ridiculous. And I'm not buying that for a fucking minute. So these stories, you know, they just get bogged down in so much bullshit. You know, go watch my Civil War video if you really need to hear more of my complaints. I'm not going to retread through familiar waters once more. You can go watch the video if you're curious what I had to say. I actually did a few videos on the movie. So, this is pretty much a continuation of that, and to really just, you know, juxtapose it against Star Wars. And, you know, we saw with Force Awakens, the argument there was pretty much that Force Awakens was too much like A New Hope. You know, we said, oh, we don't like the prequels, we don't like the differences, and then when Force Awakens comes along, J.J. Abrams tries to give us enough of the old and just as much of the new, people have problems with it. I'm going to be doing a separate video on that as well, to explain how people just fucking love to bitch about Star Wars. So, they introduced a lot, you know, having that nostalgic feel, but still feeling new, like we were going places. And Rogue One just completely catapulted us into a different type of landscape. It was, you know, more action-oriented, but still had that nostalgic feel because it actually led into A New Hope at the end of the film. And that's pretty much what the whole film acted. It was one big, massive lead-in. And that was an awesome concept, and I love that. You just feel like Star Wars is doing new things and just really interesting stuff to satisfy fans and just give us an overall, you know, a viewing of just how grand the scope of Star Wars is. How there's just all these different characters in this one universe. You just don't get that. I mean, maybe that's not fair to compare, but then again, this is a Star Wars universe, and that's a Marvel universe, and the universe is supposed to be massive for Marvel. And I'm not talking about the number of characters, I'm just saying how these characters play out their roles in this universe. They're not as interesting. You know, I'm sorry, but, you know, the Vision, you know, cooking in a fucking apartment, it's just not interesting to me. I don't get a lot of entertainment out of seeing, you know, the Avengers sitting around in a bar joking about picking up Thor's hammer. That's not stimulating entertainment to me. It's not interesting to go to Hawkeye's farm, to his fucking ranch, and, you know, have them palling around for a half an hour. No, it's just not my idea of a good time. My idea of a good time is a compelling story, compelling characters, and a film that feels actually like it's taking me places, that it's actually, you know, thought provoking, and it's just, it's not really fair to compare, I guess you could say, because, well, Star Wars just does it so much better, and Marvel's just really sticking to their guns. They're just doing what they gotta do. They're not really putting a lot of effort, and when they do put in the effort, it's not the effort really. Basically, those movies just really overthink themselves. And that's exactly what they did with Civil War. They tried to create a story that was compelling, but it just ended up being boring. And instead of doing that, Star Wars just keeps it really simple. We're just going to go get the plans to the Death Star, and, you know, this is the adventure that happens on the way. And that's the excitement of Star Wars. And that's the boredom of the Avengers. And that is exactly why I'm really not a fan of the way the Marvel Universe is going. I mean, Spider-Man looks like it's going to be more action, you know, less of a, you know, a kooky story that they cooked up. But like I said, I just have real problems. I mean, after seeing two versions of the Spider-Man universe, and then getting to see this one, it actually looks like the worst of the three. Why does it look like Spider-Man is getting progressively worse as they reboot the series? I don't get it. Shouldn't it get better? Shouldn't they improve on the way that they're doing things? No, more CGI, less of what we're looking for in the actor to play Spider-Man. I don't know, some people are satisfied, but like I said, I think that the guy is just way too fucking young. I mean, he seems like he's got the personality there, but I don't care what people say. Like I said, Tobey Maguire was my favorite. I don't care if people say that they think that he was a whiny little bitch and everything. Spider-Man has always been emotional. How many times has the motherfucker given up on being Spider-Man? So I think people just kind of conveniently forget about who the character is supposed to be. And, you know, I don't know. They just, a lot of fans have a real hard-on for Disney. They're following the comic books, they're following the storylines, and the thing is, I'm not a big fan of this current set of, you know, the Ultimate Universe and all these other different things that they're going on and doing with the current comics. Not a fan at all, and that's maybe why I don't like them. But anyway, yes, Star Wars is far superior to Marvel when it comes to Disney making these movies. Until next time, motherfucker.